right, buddy. Welcome back to State of the Industry. This is your host, Mike, and we are continuing our discussion series where we dive in and talk about some of our favorite movies and TV shows. But stop, hold the presses. We have a worldwide phenomenon that's sweeping the nation right now. Surprisingly enough, some people told us, you got to talk about it. It's not just the in thing, but it's potentially industry changing film. So, of course, being State of the Industry, we got to address it. And today, join with me, we have Mr. Sun Lu.
Hello, hello.
And of course, we have Alex Matson with us.
Heyo.
And to shed some more insight, and also happens to be a huge fan of what we're going to talk about today, we have Ms. Kim Lewis with us here today.
Hello.
Just get straight to the point. Today, we're going to be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. Not only making big numbers on Netflix, but also making huge headlines. It's topping the Billboard charts. So, yeah, we're going to be unpacking this film. We're going to be giving our thoughts on it. We all enjoyed it. There's a bunch of songs that we just can't get out of our head at this point. Who wants to start with giving just a very basic description of what the story is for the film?
I think Kim can do it justice.
Oh, okay. Basics of the film. I guess for anyone who hasn't seen it, K-pop Demon Hunters follows three young women who have been charged with protecting the world. So they get to be pop stars and reinforce something called the Hanmun, which basically keeps the demons down below in the dark with their demon overlord. The story follows these three as they go through their trials, some shakeups, and unfortunately for them, the demons decide to make their own demon boy band. And everyone loves a good boy band, especially full of demons. So the demons start winning. And yeah, it's a whole lovely story about finding who you are and kind of making peace with that, while also embracing the loveliness of K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give anything away for the ending.
Fair enough. So K-pop Demon Hunters, I mean, yeah, like everywhere you turn, whether you got little ones at home or you just happen to just be walking through the mall, you're going to be hearing some of the biggest hits from K-pop stars that are making huge headlines. I think like the first time I heard about them was like, BTS and Blackpink and, they're winning awards, they're showing up at Coachella and everyone's talking about their performances. So I thought like, okay, there might be something to this whole pop group thing. I think when we grew up, I'm sure Son and I were memorizing our moves to our favorite boy bands,
Oh, yeah.
Bye, 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 son. I know he still got the moves.
I still prefer them.
Mm-hmm. I remember karaoke, son. I think we grew up, that was a big thing, having like pop music hit the airwaves with bands, female or male. They were tearing up the charts back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But things changed, trends changed here in the States, and you don't really have like big name American based pop groups these days. So lo and behold, a new generation comes up. Korea, they found the secret sauce and they dialed it in. And so I feel like a lot of the younger generation growing up today love and embrace this music. And I don't know, so we might be boomers, man. I know we're still scratching our heads sometimes. So like, what's...
I'm so old, Mike. I don't understand anything anymore.
I think what also changed a lot was during the pandemic. We were starting to run out of content. People needed new things to watch. And they discovered the fact that, hey, Netflix has every show dubbed in every major language. So then a lot of people started to watch international shows. And that became a huge thing. So when a little show called Squid Game came around, that just became huge international hit. At that time, Netflix's biggest, most watched thing for the platform. Now they have film based on Korean culture, Korean lore, little film called K-pop Demon Hunters. Now that's the biggest, film for Netflix as we speak. And yeah, I think there's just huge hunger, not just for Korean barbecue, but Korean entertainment. So here we are talking about K-pop Demon Hunters today. I don't know if you want to chime in on anything, Alex.
I think you're right. Thinking about when the Korean influence for entertainment started, it was definitely still around in my military days. I would say like 2015, 2016 is when I really started seeing it popping up more on Netflix and started seeing more of the Korean dramas showing up, more of the Korean filmmaking.
Mm.
I know there were a few people in my shop on base who were absolutely obsessed with Korean dramas, and it was kind of the thing, if you knew, you knew. And I remember talking to one of my supervisors at the time who was very in the know and asking him if he had heard of one of the shows that Kim was watching at the time. And he went, "Why do you know that?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tread on your thing." But he was just very surprised that, the white boy would know. And then
Mm.
I told him that, my wife was getting pretty thoroughly into the storytelling for Korean dramas. And he basically had the response of, "Good, she should." Because he was, I think, Filipino was his nationality. And I think he's son of immigrants to the US. So he was very much still in that kind of culture. But I think that's the first memory I have of Korean cinema coming to the United States, was kind of that time frame. If there was, I'm sure there had been something else that I've seen that I just didn't know it at the time.
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure probably the biggest thing that impacted us around that time when Old Boy came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know that was a film that had a huge impact, at least for us, we like our action movies, which is why this has like a great tangent and through line of it's a fun, action packed, catchy tune project that the whole family can enjoy. And yeah, those songs, speaking of being super catchy, top the charts. Golden, I think, hit #1. That's definitely the #1 song. We just randomly be humming that song out of nowhere. We just talking to each other and like, son.
Golden.
Everything's golden. Yeah, I feel like we're like that one scene from the K-pop Demon Hunters where one of the characters and the producer, they're playing that soda pop song from Soulja Boys, and they just start like, dancing their shoulders, back and forth, heads bobbing to the tune. I feel like that's something that son and I randomly do throughout the day. Yeah, so it's definitely a fun project. Unpacking that further, Sony Animation making huge waves again. They did it back in the day when they released the first Into the Spider-Verse film, pushing an art direction that a lot of people looked at, were blown away by. Many tried to imitate it since then. We had the Ninja Turtles film, we had Puss in Boots 2 do a similar looking style, but not quite delivering the same type of experience that we had with the first Into Spider-Verse. And then the second one came out. And again, people were like, wow, why can't everyone do this? It's animation style. But then Sony Animation made a deal with Netflix, right? We got the, I'm blanking on the name of it. The one with the family, Alex. What was that called again?
Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Yes. That was the first film that was released. And people were like, okay, yeah, we like this. We want more films like this to be released on the platform. And I think I heard it was 7 years in development.
Yeah, it took them 7 years to go from concept to ready to set it out.
Yeah. First time out for a lot of these projects, including something like Arcane, also had that huge development time to kind of get the story just right and develop interesting and compelling enough art direction. Because, with animation, you don't want to come out just looking like Pixar, looking like something DreamWorks made, carve a lane out for yourself. So a lot of very fun, interesting anime gags. Always think about the six-pack abs gag. It's so funny. True popcorn moment, son. Yeah, there's a lot of, I feel like we could just go off and just name all the scenes that we liked. I think they did a really good job with the soundtrack. It's great to see, musical moments that actually propel the story forward. I think that's really cool. Every song really captured the moment that was happening in each scene, whether it was the lead singer wrestling with something that she was dealing with that she didn't want her fellow bandmates to know about, to finding someone that she felt really understood her and what she was going through and could relate, and how much that meant to her. And for me personally, I think like the track for the conclusion worked really well. I know people like to always compare it to Golden, which is, the breakout song for the film, rightfully so, soared all the way to #1. But I really liked Idol. I think it really pulled the scene together for me for the finale. I think it was pretty good.
It felt like a finishing number.
It got me tearing up a little bit watching that ending. Yeah.
Yeah. Without even intending to, the eyes start swelling up a little bit. And then it becomes like that scene from Cloudy from the Chance of Meatballs. Like, you get back in there, Tear. Don't you cry. Also Sony Animation.
Sony has a good track record with their animation, just in general.
And that was a good call too, because the guys who did that movie, they were then picked to make the Into the Spider-Verse film, and they've made those ever since.
Let's go back to the beginning, like the very beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was a movie, actually.
Mm.
So I learned that it took Maggie King and who was the other co-director, Alex?
Chris Applehouse.
Yeah, so it took around 9 years to get the film made. Maggie King conceived the idea as a love letter to her Korean roots and to K-pop. And then the design of the idols, the Huntrix group, they were inspired by other K-pop girl groups, such as ITZY, Blackpink, and Twice. I don't listen to K-pop, so I don't really know them, but I imagine they are extremely popular.
They are, yeah. Twice is definitely one of the most popular ones. Blackpink, definitely up there in terms of popularity, though they're a bit controversial sometimes. But the fact that they had Twice not only help with the soundtrack, but if you noticed when their manager Bobby is showing them like how Golden has reached #1, it's like seconds after Rumi's let it, accidentally drop right underneath them. They're beating Twice as the best K-pop group. So it's a cute little homage to them.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Kim, since you're familiar with those groups, does the Huntrix group look similar to them?
They do, yeah.
Do they look inspired?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything about them, from their outfits, when Rumi walks in and she's got that big haul of all their outfits, because these groups like never wear the same outfit twice. And they're always like, what's the term? Fashionistas, right? They're always on the cutting edge and they're always doing something. The hairstyles are just phenomenal. But I think that leans more towards the anime influence.
Oh, nice. And that brings a segue into my next point here is that I think this film holds the record for the most outfits in an animated film.
I would believe that. Yeah.
I never noticed it because I was just kind of watching the movie for enjoyment. But yeah, I guess they had a ton of outfits.
The beginning. I'm starting to count these in my head. I'm like, wait, how many outfits did they have?
Well, record holding, that's how many.
When they're jumping out the plane and performing at the concert, that was one outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she pulls out the golden outfits, that was pretty funny.
Yes. I guess we could count the robes as an outfit. The PJs alone, the choo-choo train. Yeah, which are different than the street clothes when they were at the very end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the musical scenes.
Yeah. And then the fun stealth outfits that they put on. That was great.
Yeah, Kill Saja. And then they have to go down the slide and the leather goes against them. They just screech all the way down.
Yeah, the gags in the film were so great. Yeah, like the popcorn abs. That was hilarious.
Oh, yes.
And then there's a scene where the member with the short hair, where she's like really excited and then they turn her into like a little chibi character. That was funny. The look of it, going back to animation, was great to see how they were trying to come up with their own look. Spider-Verse was famous for the look that it had, having a very comic book poppy look to it. And this one, they were trying to reach a balance, being based on anime, referencing that more limited animation style, where they were holding a lot of poses and making them look like really snappy the way they moved. But also it felt very kind of stop motion-y, which I thought was kind of interesting for the film. I think part of it too is the way the shaders looked on them. To me, kind of reminded me more of like they were made out of clay a little bit. For some reason, I had that feel to it to me. So I think that's what added to the stop motion look, was that it had that very soft lighting to the characters. So I thought that was pretty cool and really stands out. It was a little bit jarring for me at first, but then when those gags were happening, like when they were going to the back alley doctor and he was giving the intense stare.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the serious one just kind of like stare back at him and kind of growl at him. That was fun. It was cool seeing interviews with the cast too. It's always fun when you see some of the character that they portray on screen mimic and mirror a little bit of the actual actor, actress in real life. I thought that was pretty fun. Yeah, it was really cool. Like everyone just did this as a passion project because they love the music and they like the story. It really resonated with them. So it was great to see how everybody was shocked by the success of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're all sure that Netflix is rushing as fast as they can to pen the next script and lock everybody down and come back to do the sequel, because everyone's demanding not just a sequel, but as much merch as possible. So I want to give a moment to shout out our buddy of the channel, Nick Paris. We interviewed him a while back earlier this year to talk about his experience now as a Funko Pop artist. So I was really excited, and I spammed it everywhere on our socials, the fact that he got to design the pop figures for K-pop Demon Hunters. So I already pre-ordered mine. I had to get the Derpy Cat, amazing character. And I know I gotta wait till January, but I love the fact that it's glow in the dark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I get to see the glowing eyes and that smile in the shadows. It'll probably keep me up at night, but it's okay. Yeah, I love how much it reminds me of like the Cheshire Cat. You know, you see the eyes and smile curl, and then you see the body slowly materialize. It's pretty fun. Yeah, son, how about we dive up into the lore of like, what did it represent? And the little buddy he's got resting on his head the whole time.
Yeah. So the Derpy Cat, which is actually a lion, I imagine is probably almost everyone's favorite character. His name is Derpy, and he is always accompanied by a magpie named Sussy. So there's like two versions of these characters, and they're both in South Korean folklore. One version is that the lion is a protector, and he protects you from evil and bad things. And the magpie is the one that brings luck and fortune. There's another version in, I'm going to butcher this because I don't speak Korean, but Joseon Dynasty. They painted the lion as just like really goofy and derpy to represent the ruling class, and the magpie represents the common people, just kind of making fun of the ruling class and rising up as well. And I don't think the magpie actually wore a top hat during those times. So I think that was kind of like a creative license for the film, which I think added a lot of charm to the bird.
That says quite a lot about the character of Jinu. So I knew about the first version, but the second version also, Jinu's background, going into a little bit of his personal story, you learn that he was a busker. He was trying to make his living singing, right? And then he goes basically as a singer for the rulers. So if you take it as the lion, which is what Saja is, out of Saja Boys, makes sense not only that he's the leader of the Saja Boys, but if he's supposed to be that lower class magpie sitting on the head of the lion royalty, makes a whole lot of sense with his background, because that's basically what he was.
Yeah.
He was the one who entertained the royalty, and he basically paid for it. That's how he basically sold his soul.
Yeah, so I think in the film, they used the version with the painting where Derpy was the ruling class, portrayed as just like a really derpy lion, and the magpie is the common people.
Yeah. What an interesting take. Because normally we think, like, especially in Western culture, lions are kind of the leaders, you know, the one everyone wants, like the proud lion, that kind of thing. Whereas if we switch it around, and in this case, he does the same thing to the leader of the demons. What's his name?
Guima.
Yes, thank you. He does the same thing to him, because the only reason he's leading the boy band Demon Hunters is to use this big, powerful demon who trapped him into getting anything he wants. So he's still that magpie kind of turning the head of the lion, so to speak.
Yeah. A quick fun fact, which I'm sure a lot of people know, but I don't. The magpie is the national bird of South Korea.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love that whole gag too, right? Of like, so what's the deal with the hat? Like, well, I made it for Derpy, but Sussy keeps stealing the hat for himself. And then he has that little like smirk of like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I always appreciate that too when you have like strong, memorable characters, you know. It's easy to write like very one note characters with very solid, straight personalities. Like we just did the Turtles. So like, you know, yeah, Raph, he's the angry one. Mikey is the goofy one. And Donnie's the smart one. And Leo's the uptight leader. But it's nice to see how they do kind of explore a little bit, you know, everyone's kind of dealing with something, especially in that moment in the film where the Saja boys are able to kind of get people to allow all their like insecurities and fears and doubts to get the best of them, and they all migrate to the arena at the end of the film, and you kind of get a glimpse as to what all the band members, not just Rumi but everyone else, what they're all dealing with. That was a nice scene to see them kind of face their own inner demons.
Yeah. There's more lore to when you watch the movie, you just think it's like a fun action flick with like K-pop and just demon hunting, but it does go a little deeper. They put a lot of thought into the concept and the creation of the movie. So the weapons that the girls use, they're actually real historical South Korean weapons.
Mm.
The K-pop idols, they are based on Korean shamans, like female shamans. And what the shamans would do is they would sing and dance and communicate with the spirit world and also ward off evil. So that's what they're based on. And then Gui Ma actually means ghost demon. That's what it translates to. So that's why he looks the way he does. There's like a demon flame.
Yeah, it makes sense with this color palette too. When you think of like how ghosts are normally portrayed with blues or purples, he's just basically a giant purple flame.
Mm-hmm. And then a little play on words, I suppose. The Saja boys. So Saja by itself means lion, but it's part of another word, which I'm going to butcher, just saying Saja, which means they're like the Korean Grim Reapers.
Yeah.
So that might also kind of give a reason why the main leader of the Saja boys has a lion companion as well.
That's cool. Yeah, his little mascot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of getting back to the story a little bit, since we're talking about the demon that they were all serving. Yeah, there's a lot of debate as to, okay, Rumi is half demon, half hunter. So who is her daddy? I saw an interview where they're asking the actress, Arden Cho, who played Rumi, her thoughts on who she thinks the dad might be. And yeah, a lot of people are thinking like everyone can hear this demon's voice and be influenced by this demon except her. So is it possible that is somehow her father?
But she does hear his voice at some point because he does talk to her after she's left her guardian. She does hear his voice. That's why she goes to the stadium. He talks directly to her. But some people do argue that because she's standing in front of him, maybe it's not the voice in her mind, just directly speaking to her, which would also explain the strength of her voice and why it affected the Hanmoon when she yelled those few times and the Hanmoon went from blue to pink.
Yeah, that was a really cool element to see that with the main character have that much influence of potentially destroying the very things she's trying to protect and build. Yeah, I think the story, the way it was crafted, was done in a way that it just really resonates and clicks with people. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I just remember like it just flies by and like right away I'm just like, whoa. Do I put on again? Or just put on the soundtrack?
If you're our niece, then you play it again and again and again.
And if you're son, you're trying to remember all the choreography.
Oh, I have it down.
I know you know the moves, son.
Oh, yep. I got it.
That reminds me, honestly, of the technique that I saw for animation when I was in film school, where computer animators in particular will actually record video of themselves doing particular movements in order to get the characters to match it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that the animators for that movie probably know those dances inside and out.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't think I shared with you in the group chat, but I saw clips of different animators from the film. It's so funny. I guess it was one of those projects where animators were responsible for each shot they were given, because there was a moment where I'm trying to remember the scene. I don't know if they were walking off stage or walking towards stage. Yeah, I think it was when they were walking off stage. They had just performed. But yeah, they were walking off stage and the producer kind of comes up, talks to them and walks away. And just to see the one animator playing all the different roles, I guess he filmed himself in front of green screen. So it was funny to see him as each of the dancers as they all slowly walked out of frame. And just to see him play all the characters and to try to like make himself look a little different. So he might put his jacket over his head or make that he's got long hair or different stuff he was doing, and him giving the different performances to kind of match each character. I thought that was really fun to watch, to see like animators at work film their reference and then to just parallel that to see how that compares to the final scene is always interesting to look at.
That does remind me. I don't know if it was actually a Ray Harryhausen quote or if it was just from one of my instructors at film school, but he was talking about the various types of animation, and that in particular, stop motion animation and computer animation animators are often aptly described as being shy actors. They're really good at getting body movement and conveying character emotion through movement, but they're too shy to actually be on camera.
Was there no mocap in the movie?
No, I don't think so.
Impressive.
Yeah, it was all keyframe animated, mainly because it's very much that key like pose to pose. The focus in that style animation is the key poses are everything.
Mm.
It's not about recreating fluid movement, even though it's a lot of dance choreography. And those scenes, I think, did look a little smoother when they were dancing than when they were fighting, I think.
And a lot of that came from the K-pop influence. They would watch the different K-pop groups, BTS and such, and they would try and mimic the moves. Golden actually has, wait, was it Golden? Yeah, Golden has a moment where it's very, very similar to a music video that I think it was Blackpink put out. And it's just kind of that style of dance that a lot of the K-pop idols do on stage. So they had a lot of reference there too.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's been interesting because, of late, there's so many shows just popping up. Like, I just recently finished watching the KPopped, where you have like big artists from mainly the US, but you also had some from the UK, like Spice Girls showed up and you had Boy George on there. And it was interesting to see that collaboration where they took like a big K-pop group, because usually there's a good handful of members per group. I think minimum's like 3 and could jump up to like 9 or 11 or even more.
Yeah.
Depending on how it's structured. Yeah, because sometimes I think I heard they'd split a group up and have them perform in different locations if they could, if it's a big enough group. I know there's some setups like that. Yeah, son, those like groups over there, it's crazy. They live in dorms. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole different conversation to dive into, how intense, and it's a whole lifestyle to be in a pop group over there. And it was fun to see artists get their famous songs, like to hear like Ice Ice Baby K-popped is funny.
Wow.
And yeah, it was like a lot of interesting to hear the original Lady Marmalade done with a K-pop group was pretty cool. Yeah, it's a good show. But the really cool thing to see that all the other artists were shocked by was the crazy work ethic, and they're so on point with the choreography and the dancing. And sometimes like they had TLC on there, and T-Bone for a while now, I forget the name of the condition she has, but it kind of limits her movement and what she can do. So she was trying to get like little amendments to the choreography to accommodate her slightly, and to see like how much like a little change would throw stuff off. Like Vanilla Ice, he's like, I gotta have my signature Ice Ice Baby move in there at one point, and they're like, do we have to? Like, yes. They demand it. So they incorporated that in, but it really threw off some of the members, because you could tell, I think they were rehearsing for this a few days, but sometimes by the reaction of, oh, we got to change the choreography, you could tell they've probably been practicing that for like a few weeks before the artist came on board to say, hey, you're part of this too.
Mm.
So yeah, really interesting to see a little bit of glimpse of that, and to touch on that a little bit further, getting back to that game show that they're a part of, and how that's a huge part over there. I know we do it here. Over there, is such a big deal to have those game shows specifically geared towards having K-pop groups come on and have that interaction between the fans and the artists. On making the movie, that's something they touched on, right? They touched on how that's a big aspect that they want to really capture and make it clear and acknowledge and embrace the fact that there is this huge relationship between the artists and the fans.
Mhm. Yeah, they did have a sequence where they showed just what the K-pop groups go through daily, like their fan signings and in that game show, and
the whole thing about all of the souls was the souls of the fans, the souls of the people. So it's very much about the K-pop artists and their connections with their fans.
Mm-hmm.
And the game show that they actually had in the movie. I mean, it's fun for the American audiences to watch, But I know a lot of the American audiences aren't going to get that the game shows like that are an entire cultural aspect for that type of performance. There's the huge number of random game shows that are in Japan, but Korea specifically has the ones that are geared toward their pop groups.
Yeah, the connection is just wild. I mean, I myself partook in watching a bunch of K-dramas coming out of college. And yeah, it's interesting to see like those elements that you kind of you see depicted in like, interpretations in our movies and shows, but it's nice to see what the director brought in, which is keeping it true and authentic to her experience and her understanding. I think that's what I respect with some cultures is that there is still that, even though you may be based in the States or you straight up grew up here, there's still strong cultural ties, to back home. Yeah, everyone I know who's Korean visits or plans to go back and either retire there or just spend a few years going back, especially the fact that you're not allowed to share dual citizenship, So if you want to hold on to your Korean citizenship, you don't ever become a US citizen. That kind of adds to it as well, where there's a greater sense of cultural pride and identity that is really important to you. So, yeah, so I think it's really cool. I think now it's a lot different than how it used to be. I think back then we just saw something from another culture. We just think that aspect is cool. But I think nowadays, especially with the younger generation, I think they embrace the whole aspect of Korean culture more than we experienced when we were younger when it came to other cultures. So I think that's pretty interesting too.
I agree.
It's also way cool seeing the cultural education happening around the world where more people are actually starting to see more history and more traditional stories from different cultures getting spread and told in different venues and different languages. There's a lot more Korean-based gaming that's coming out, as well as the movies and the series. I know that I want to say it's a Korean-based game that is very mythologically based coming out in, I think it's sometime next year, and the artwork for it was just drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, I can only imagine there's such fevered competition now between like Tencent-based studios and now Korea trying to really cement that in all aspects of entertainment, not just our technology, not just your Samsung or LG phones and TVs and electronics, but like all aspects of what are you going to be playing and watching on those devices will be mostly their content.
It is amazing how many companies Tencent actually owns and operates.
Oh yeah, definitely be touching on that one day.
Alex, that video game you were talking about, that was the one, it's the Woochi The Wayfarer.
I think that's it, yeah.
It's a Korean action-based game developed I just looked it up, by Nexon Games. And it's very much following the Demon Hunter. So you see the Grim Reaper fighting the demons, and they look just like the Saja Boys during the Your Idol song. And
yep, that's the one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get some interest from anyone who knows about Demon Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have that game wishlisted, actually. It's on Steam. I'd probably have it wishlisted.
It's wishlisted
nice.
For me, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too.
It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the amount of work ethic I think that those artists express is just astounding and, really appreciate. I remember seeing something of it. Yeah, I wasn't aware that it was a Korean developed game, but yeah, Nexon, they're definitely big.
Oh, and looking at recent released Korean games that blew up was Project Eve.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
No, that's not Stellar Blade. That was something else. But Project Eve also looks like it's going to be blowing up to be something very interesting in their sci-fi category.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. I was thinking back of when I visited Hawaii for my buddy's wedding. And yeah, I remember I was riding shotgun and, taken to my hotel, and I was just chatting with the driver. And he was like, yeah, man, things have changed so much. He's like, yeah, back in the day when I was growing up, we were flooded with like Japanese tourists. And he's like, yeah, the past, I think at the time was 5 years. So it's been like 15 years ago, maybe. that he told me that now like the number one tourists coming to visit the main island and Kauai and Maui and all the other islands are mainly like Korean tourists, you know, because they've been doing so well. At the time, it was just electronics, but now it's entertainment, it's every aspect. So I think it's really cool that it's come up. I definitely need to expand my palette beyond just Korean barbecue, which it is amazing. I definitely want to try out some other stuff since, you know, K-Town is just right there by me here in LA. I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's just the beginning. I definitely think we're going to see more, as you guys point out, not just action movies do well, not just the dramas. I know you got your favorite too, son. You don't want to admit which one it is, but it's okay. We can share a list of shows later.
They're getting into, I don't want to say anime, but like animated movies in the vein of anime as well. I think there's one that recently came out that is on my watch list, but I haven't seen it yet. If I can find it.
The anime that I was thinking Sun was going to go for is actually cross-pollination between China and Japan. And I was thinking you were going to go for 2BX Hero, but that is not Korean.
No, I don't know that one.
That's a very fun one. Very different.
Yeah, I can't find it. It's a sci-fi romance movie or anime or...
Yeah, when you're mentioning how they've really come up with like anime style animation, I was just going to highlight the fact that for years, Korea became the go-to outsource country for animation, you know, ranging from things like SpongeBob, where we would storyboard everything and have them animate it all for us. So they became our outsourced animation studios over there. They would also do a ton of outsourced animation for Japan for their anime as well. And then I think it really blew up. Avatar: The Last Airbender became a huge success. And they had now very well known Korean, which of course I don't know the name offhand, but I'll have it shown on display. You know, they were the go-to animation studio to work on Avatar: The Last Airbender, to work on those scenes. Now they worked on shows such as X-Men 97, you know, to do all of the entire animation for that show. Yeah, so they've come up a long way. So I think they did a really good job of send us your work and we'll work on your stuff to now we have the skill set and the talent to now make our own stuff and really excelling at that.
Oh, I found it. It's called Lost in Starlight. It's on my watch list. It looks like anime, but it's got their own style. Got really high ratings too, so I'm curious to see it.
Oh, nice.
Am I going to have to add that to the list?
It almost sounds like my personal memoir, Lost in Sunlight.
Ah,
I think we're kind of coming up close to the end. I don't know. Anyone have any last remarks, closing thoughts that they want to give for K-pop Demon Hunters?
we talked about the billboards, right?
Yeah, we talked about the fact that Golden managed to hit number one on the top 100 Billboard charts, as well as the fact that the other songs from the film also managed to chart as well. So that was a huge deal. Like 5 songs from this film are all in the top 100 Billboard charts.
And also, this is the most watched Netflix original animated film ever.
Well, now film. It surpassed Red Notice.
Oh,
So it's the most watched film, period, on Netflix.
whoa. All right.
Yeah, it surpassed it a few weeks ago. It's incredible to see. And I think that's a big deal too, because I think for a time, people still thought animation is still niche, can't surpass live action, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, the film was so well received that they did a sing-along version that they put out in theaters. And for that weekend, it hit number one.
Yeah, it's sold out nationwide. Originally, they wanted to do each theater who was going to participate was only going to have 2 showings, one in the morning, one in the evening, both Saturday and Sunday. And it sold out so fast that they extended it out to each day having at least 5 showings. And they still nationwide sold out of tickets. I got to take my niece. It was something. I mean, I was a little afraid for my life, honestly. It was a bunch, mostly mothers or aunties like myself. My niece is 6, and they were anywhere from like 5 or 6 years old all the way up to like early teens. And even if the moms had never really seen it, like actually watched it, by the end of this movie, like I could see that everyone was converted. Everyone was a K-pop fan.
Oh, wow.
And it was like they didn't have a choice. Like I had some mother who's like, have you seen this? I went, a few times. You know, I got a niece. I had to use the excuse, right? The little one. She's like, I've never really seen it, but my daughter loves this. And at the end of the movie, he's like, what do you think? She's like, oh my God, I'm never going to be the same again. Welcome to the fandom.
I think Guima's plan is working.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the amount of young women who were screaming for the demon hunters, specifically Jinu, he came on screen and eardrums burst. It was like, little ones, you don't want to scream for the demons.
Was there popcorn popping everywhere?
Everywhere. Yes. It was all over the floors by the time we walked out. It was like, oh my Lord.
Sounds like they're going to need to build new theaters just for this movie.
Probably.
That plays nonstop all day, every day.
Yeah. They had this in other places, right? And I saw reviews like they did this sing along in some Canadian theaters.
Mhm.
And I guess they didn't really sing along to it. American theaters, everyone's just shouting about it. But I guess in some theaters, they're so reserved about it. They were like, no, it's a theater. We need to reserve our emotions here.
Mm.
So there was hardly anyone actually singing along at the sing along, which kind of defeats the point in my mind.
We are a rowdy people.
We are, yes. Very much so.
We're becoming less welcome in other countries.
I know,
Yes. It's how they can tell you are an American by actually how loud you speak and where you speak. So, like, if you ever on the train or the tube or the subway or whatever it is you're at, whatever they call it, you will find out very quickly who's the American because we will be talking to someone when you're not supposed to be talking.
Yeah, I think there's like a rudeness meter.
Yes. Yeah, they'll kick you off.
Yeah, Americans is on there somewhere at the
Mhm.
top.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's maxed out at all times. Yeah, it's funny. All like the influencers going around to where I remember seeing like a post of someone from Japan saying, "Don't come here."
Yeah.
If you're going to be, making a scene, if you're going to dance randomly in public, yeah, they do crazy stuff. I'm glad some people are finally getting arrested for some of the stuff they've been doing.
Yeah.
Very ridiculous and disrespectful. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. It's definitely gotten like if you're going to travel here, here's the rules to mind, to be respectful of, that kind of thing.
mhm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's important. Basic level of decorum is much appreciated.
And did you guys know Demon Hunters is been done in over 41 languages, like worldwide?
No.
It's been translated in 41 languages as of right now.
Is that going to break another record?
Oh, it just might, I imagine.
Yeah, if it keeps going, especially, I think we get spoiled because we even forget that other countries have like multiple dialects in different languages and just within one country.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how far reaching it goes. Yeah, that's where you give Netflix a lot of credit. They put in that work. They have translators or maybe just AI all over the world. So it's really cool to see.
Let's hope it's not AI.
I don't think it is, simply because if you look up Soda Pop, right?
Mhm.
The most earwormy song I think that they have, but you can look up Soda Pop in English and South Korean and French and German. It's very interesting. But if you ask the people who are like from those countries, like, yeah, that was spot on.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think especially for something like this, they're going to be on point because it's like going to be on loop and people are going to like memorize these words and it's going to be a big deal. People will call them out if it's wrong, but yeah, for smaller projects, I think they'd probably sneak in some AI. I always laugh when I'm watching a film. We've been watching like a lot of Turkey films, actually. It's interesting.
Oh.
They make a lot of rom-coms, son. So,
Oh, cool.
but because it's so different, like if it's in Spanish, I'll just let it rock because I'll understand some of it and I just read the subtitles. But with Turkish, it's so different the language that we have it dubbed in English, and I still have the subtitles on, so it's always funny to see when there's discrepancy between the two. It's cool when it's like a word is different or they just exclude something so that it flows better and you can read it easier. I understand that, but when it's like a completely different like turn of phrase of how you would translate and say it, you're like,
Oh, man. Which one is right?
right? Yeah. But usually when they say it, it's more so right. Because sometimes you read it and you're like, that just feels like a direct one-to-one translation of the word instead of understanding what they're saying.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm like, I think I know what's done here.
There's one thing we forgot to mention
Mhm.
was that this movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, was Sony's loss.
That is right. Yes, it was.
That was a controversial move that they've made.
Yeah. Big mistake.
It really was. Unfortunately, in the production of this film, we came to find out that Sony completely sold all rights of K-pop Demon Hunters to Netflix because Sony didn't believe that this film was going to be a success. They were going to write it off, as Sun said, as a loss and say, we made this movie and we're just going to try to get our money back from just selling the whole thing to Netflix. And in the process, I don't think they're getting any probably residuals from this film. Maybe when it was released in theaters for a short time, maybe they got something from that. But yeah, I don't think they're getting any profit. And so any merchandising that's being made, that's all for Netflix to put in their pocket.
Hmm.
Yeah, you gotta be like George Lucas, man. If you believe in something, put it down in writing. Give me my residuals.
I have a question for that.
Mhm.
So if Sony kind of sold away everything, right? Part of the reason they released it in theaters was because now it can be up for awards.
Mm-hmm.
It can go up for Oscars and Academy Awards and everything else because now it's been in theaters.
Mhm.
So would Netflix, would they get all the recognition? Would Sony be able to win anything for it?
Well, Sony still did all the animation. So if it's like for best animated film or I'm so bad, I should know all the categories for animation, what awards there are, for having done the work, they'll still get credit for it. But in terms of if there was some reason there was a falling out between Sony and Netflix could just have another animation studio do it
Mm,
because they own the rights to it. So
that's true.
I think in terms of that, that's where it can get a little dicey. But at least for the work they put into it, those artists will get the recognition for it if they're winning any categories. And there's various different award shows and places they can win awards at. So not just the Golden Globes or Oscars, but there's other places too that hand out awards for animation. Offhand, I can't think of anything else that would probably beat them this year in that category. I've fallen off a little bit with Disney stuff. So I'm not sure if they released anything that was compelling or as good.
No.
Yeah, so probably not.
And if they do, it's definitely going to be called as being rigged. Nothing. I mean, we still have, a few months left, but I don't imagine anything anyone puts out should win.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why Netflix likes to put out anything they make in theaters is just to get the nominations to qualify for that. And if Netflix keeps putting out hits like this, theaters might have to ask for longer runs in their theaters. Because I know initially when K-pop Demon Hunters was put out in theaters, there was no impact. No one really watched it. I think it was only in theaters for a week or two. And then it came out on Netflix. But then Netflix, like you mentioned, all the translations that were done for the film is what Netflix excels at. Day one, at least 6 languages it's always in. And then they expanded that quickly, probably to 40. Once they saw how it was tracking, they have translators around the world ready, which is good on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, quick question. So what are the names of the 3 main K-pop Demon Hunters?
I feel like people are waiting for me to answer, but I'm quite curious to see if you guys know the answer to this.
Oh,
You watched it, so
we did.
we have our main leading lady, right? Lovely
Mhm.
purple braid.
Yeah, I know that's Rumi.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have, I feel like this pop quiz, gentlemen. You have, I think it was mentioned earlier, short hair. She's the one who's half American, half Korean. She does a lot of the rapping in the songs.
Mm-hmm.
She's the lyricist, right?
Yeah. She's the one with the 30 notebooks of ways to make fun of the demons.
Right.
That's Zoe. And then pink hair, long flowing, has the attitude. So when he said she was a problem child.
Can I use AI for this quiz?
Mira.
Mira.
I don't know. I had a feeling, but I didn't.
Gotta trust the instinct.
It's true.
Rumi, Zoe, and Mira are our Huntrix.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because we did this with Ninja Turtles of which one best represents each person. I'm trying to think. So which one would Sun be?
Yeah, which one would I be? You can assign me.
Alex, I feel like this should fall to you since you know basically everyone here.
Oh,
And you've been quite quiet, sir.
I have been quiet. The only name that I knew was Rumi. I feel like Sun might fit for the short-haired American girl.
For Zoe.
Zoe, yeah. I feel like Sun might fit for Zoe. Just because I know there's a constant running monologue in Sun's mind of things he could be saying whether or not he chooses to.
that's funny.
I'm always in my head. I was kind of hoping you would say Derpy, but I'll take Zoe.
I don't think I know anybody who's quite as single instance focused as Derpy.
Yeah, that potted plant just falls over and
That flower pot. Oh my God.
All right, so his mic.
The smartass in me wants to say the demon baby.
Demon baby.
Baby Saja?
goo goo gaga. That is so funny. Because the whole time in the conversation, I kept thinking about baby Saja the whole time.
And what about Alex and Kim?
Ooh.
I think Kim's got the fiery that springs up often enough.
Mira?
She was fit for Mira.
Yeah, I can see that. I can get a bit of an attitude sometimes.
It's not an attitude. That's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of it as the, lack of a better term, passion for topics. You get very intense on a lot of topics.
Don't need to.
It just happens,
Some topics are really freaking interesting,
right?
and you should be passionate about it.
And that's why.
Who's the main guy in the Saja boys?
Genu?
I kind of feel like Alex might be a Genu.
Oh.
I'm charismatic, and then I myself so I can be beneficial to somebody else.
You took that such a dark turn, Alex.
Sorry.
What's the first thing you think of for Genu?
Self-sacrifice.
That's not all that is there.
That was the first thing that popped into my head.
He's so much more than that, though. So that is an important piece of him.
That's what he did in the end.
I know. That is an important part of who he is, yes.
Yeah.
Because he learns. But that's the thing with the Genu, right? That's why I think everyone is in love with him at some point. No matter what your preference is, everyone's drawn to Genu because he is someone who is so human. Like he made this mistake and he just wants to forget about it. But at the same time, he learns from his mistake. I mean, it took him, what is it, like 400 years or something? So it took him a while. But he learns from it, which is why he's able to do what he does at the end. It's beautiful. It's a
Very
great
true.
use of the trope.
Yeah, when that happens at the end, I'm like thinking, or like the sequel, like, does he become a talking sword?
Oh,
I wondered the same thing.
Yes.
And then I thought of Soul Eater and I went, please no. We don't need a Genu Excalibur. That's okay.
Oh,
We don't need a Geno Excalibur, but we do need Geno as Ragnarok.
Oh.
oh.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I could get behind that.
Now I've got that image as a 3D model in my head of her holding the sword spear thing at the end and having it be like a Soul Eater version where Genu's torso is coming up out of the blade. That'd be a really interesting visual.
Soul Resonance.
I know we're going to get more in a conversation about like merchandising and stuff later. When it comes to like Disney conversation, I'm sure there's something we'll touch on that we can really dive into that more. It's wild to think of when you have something so popular like this and then you just don't have all the merchandise ready to go yet.
Going to San Diego Comic-Con, there was almost nothing for K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes.
I get that it had just come out, but
By the time Comic-Con came around, Demon Hunters had been a thing for like a month. And I'm not saying like, full-blown kind of things, but the only things that were there were like 2 or 3 stickers, maybe some drawings.
there was some Artist Alley stuff, but there was no official merchandise.
wow. So Netflix waiting on their numbers.
I feel like the whole merchandising thing is a conversation that I feel like the film, television, entertainment industry as a whole is completely missing the mark and has been for a number of years because they'll release products for a project 6 months before the release of the project. And then by the time the project's actually out and people are interested in it and looking for the things, everything's off the shelf and they've already moved on to the next thing.
Mm,
So this habit that marketing for entertainment has for releasing things super early for film, television, even music. I've seen shirts for bands that are in stores at Hot Topic and Spencer that the band hasn't even released their first album. I get that they got the marketing deal and the band is probably very excited to have their merch in store, but it doesn't make sense because nobody's going to be pursuing the merchandise yet.
It's weird, right? Because it's like merchandising isn't new. It's something that's been around for a very long time to coincide with like these projects or these collaborations. So it's really weird. Like, I know people want their money and, there's an element of greed to it. But at the same time, if you have proper synergy, you make so much more money.
Yeah.
There's so much more potential for things to really blow up if they're in tandem. So it's really odd to see things like that, transpire and happen, right?
And it feels like a consistent thing.
Mhm.
Especially, and I hate to throw it under the bus, but especially for Disney projects,
Mhm.
for everything Marvel or everything officially Disney or every other subset of Disney, anything that's Fox at this point is Disney. So all of those merchandising elements are getting pushed out earlier for Disney owned IPs.
Well, and sometimes when it does come out, it gives away part of the film.
That's true.
You and I saw something for, what was it, the new Venom movie before it came out.
Yep.
Yeah, because Carnage was in it or something.
No,
What was the character?
Screech,
Yes.
the female symbiote. We saw that on something, and then there was the leak that got knocked out for the new Captain America for Brave New World.
Yes.
With Red Hulk getting outed because of the McDonald's toy.
Yeah, so they're just like the big, twists in their movies are the things that are supposed to draw people into the storyline of, oh my God, that was fantastic. They're giving it away in their merchandise.
I just got a great idea for merch.
Mm.
I'll give this to Netflix for free, but if they want to pay me royalties, that's cool.
Mhm.
So during our last discussion with the Ninja Turtles, we talked about how they had, the toys, the comics, the Ninja Turtle pies and ice cream.
Mhm.
So what if we had K-pop Demon Hunters ice cream, and one of the ice cream bars is the Saja Boys abs?
That would be amazing.
Oh my son. Wow. Now I want popcorn.
Yep, that would sell. That would sell.
Yeah, it would. Yep.
Right. Netflix, if you need my information.
I think that'd be brilliant.
I know I went to like one of those Asian marketplaces and I saw they actually had like corn flavored popsicles.
They do, yeah.
And I was like, there you go. That was really well.
Corn flavored popsicles?
Son,
Yeah.
you don't know about this?
What is this?
I'm trying to think, is it a Korean or Japanese type of popsicle? That's what I'm trying to remember.
It's a Korean.
Yeah, they love corn more than like Americans do.
Yes.
Cheese corn.
Yeah, you can go into a marketplace and literally just get a thing of corn, package of cheese. Ta-da!
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I want the ramyun, though. We opened the movie with all three of them eating the ramyun, and I want to try them. I feel like that's another marketing fail. And Zoe's is supposed to taste like a hamburger, right? Because she's part American. What would that taste like?
Wait, isn't there actual K-pop Demon Hunters ramen now or ramen?
I've seen some people have them, but I didn't know if it was found it or they kind of made the little cup themselves and just put ramen in it.
No, there is official K-pop Demon Hunters instant ramen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. I know they do promo so much instant ramen. So for them to get the marketing team to be like, slap a label on it.
I know what you guys are having for dinner soon.
See, on Etsy's is like the noodle labels.
The Shin ramen redone, repackaged for K-pop.
You got to make sure it's the right flavor, though, because they have, I think, Zoe's is hamburger, and I think Rumi's is something like Pop Star or something. It was a weird flavor.
So we have Spice Queen for Mira. Rumi has Superstar flavor,
There you go.
and Zoe's is hamburger, which the hamburger you could say is like a beef. Spicy would be a spicy something.
Yeah, but what does Rumi's taste like?
The image on her cup looks almost like a store-bought or like a restaurant-style ramen. It looks like it's got the egg. Honestly, it looks like it has pieces of sushi across the top of it.
Everything the superstar needs to start, being a superstar.
I guess.
So Netflix has some merchandise, and then trying to look all of this up and find where I can get the ramen. Apparently, they have those glass cups that are like really popular right now with the wood tops on them, and they have them in the ramen labels. So you don't get to eat the ramen, but you get at least a cup that has a label on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's all these like social media, like this is how you would prepare it. And these are the ingredients you would use to make each different ramen. So you can make one your own. Team up with like HelloFresh or something.
There you go.
Package it for you.
Have a little ramen party. Get all the ingredients. Everyone can make their own.
Ramen party. Let's do it, son.
People do sushi parties.
We never had a pizza party.
Yeah, well, I did a long time ago, but
Oh my God, son. I remember your hot pot, bro. Your mom would send you the packets.
yeah,
Amazing.
she always sent me so much food.
It's good, mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, had a nice conversation about K-pop, Demon Hunters. Any other closing thoughts you guys have?
Looking forward to seeing where they take the story for continuing on to second. And I think they've greenlit third and are thinking about fourth.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad Netflix is being more proactive. Like I know recently just watched, Wednesday season 2. People have their thoughts. I liked it. And then
Saw the first half, haven't seen the second half yet.
it's better.
Good.
That's unanimous consensus. Second half is better and flows more like what you would want as a follow-up to season 1. And yeah, they straight up announced like, oh, we're doing season 3, like what, in July? A month before? Yeah, almost like 2 months before. They already green light and pushed to season 3. So yeah, I'm glad Netflix is being more proactive with this stuff. But yeah, hopefully they have something fun planned. I mean, sequels are tough, especially when you don't have stuff planned. So I'm hoping they have something fun cooked up. Really interesting to see how they're gonna level things up. I know there's a lot of fun ideas they can still explore, but I think they did a really solid job with all the fight choreography, fight scenes. I mean, they start with a fight scene where they jump out of a plane,
Yeah.
fight on the way down, and still manage to continue the momentum past that. They have a lot of confidence from me to say that they could do more creative, interesting stuff. And they'll probably get more creative with the powers of demons and explore that lore a bit more. Because a lot of them were kind of homogenous in what they did. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from there.
Part of the rumor is that the sequel is going to be either continuation for Huntrix and the girls, since we didn't really see what happened with the Hanmoon. Some people are speculating, though, that it's actually going to be the story of Rumi's mom. And then we get to find out her background and figure out what happened to her and, Rumi's dad.
Yeah, I was wondering if the sequel was actually going to be a prequel.
Yeah, we'll see. If we're exploring who her father actually is, then you can do the fun back and forth, tell the story of the past and then how it correlates and connects to the present. I feel like that's more of like a spin-offy like movie 3. I don't know, to me, I think if they were to focus just on the mom, I don't know if you would do that as a sequel to this. But we'll see. Never know.
Mm.
We won't know for a while.
There's a live action as well, right?
There is talks about that, yeah. Though people are a bit worried how you're really going to live action something like this. I think mainly it stems from the facial expressions, that kind of thing with the girls and such. Like when they're eating their pre-concert everything.
Mm.
Yeah, all the faces they make. I mean, honestly, if they could do One Piece as a live action, I think they'll be okay.
It's dangerous to take One Piece as the precedence for the live action. It's the most successful adaptation so far.
I know, but because this pulls so much from the anime kind of esque.
Yeah.
If they did anything less than what they did with One Piece, there's no way the live action is going to be as good. And it's going to be one of those, oh, well, it's a live action. Like Disney's been doing their live actions that are just massively tank. Like if they're going to do a live action, they have to come at it like they did One Piece. Otherwise, it's going to flop.
I hate to say this, they're not sticking to trying to have everybody be Japanese for it, even though it is a Japanese franchise. They're pulling from as much diversity as they can to fill the characters, and they're trying to pull as many fans of the franchise in as they can. So they're going to have to try and do the same thing if they adapt K-pop Demon Hunters to live action. They're going to have to make sure that the actors involved, the writers involved for adapting screenplay from animation to live action, they're going to have to make sure everybody, every step of the way, is a fan of the original.
I feel like I'm the biased fan because why wouldn't you be a fan of this film?
I mean, we had that whole part of the discussion with nobody at Sony thought it was going to be a success, so they sold off all of the rights.
True, but we've come so far.
It's true.
And I feel like at this point they have learned their lesson.
We can hope. We can hope.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reiterate it again. The success for a live action adaptation, especially from something that's animated, has to come from a passion for the project. Even a lot of books and comic books that get adapted to film and television, if there isn't a love for the original, then it flops.
It is true. It does come out in the project itself. And what you said in terms of like diversifying in the cast and everything else, I think it could work really well for K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, right away with just the three main girls, you have such diversity. I mean, Zoe herself being, half American, half Korean, she spent the first half of her life in America, which is part of the reason during the songs, she actually doesn't really rap in Korean. She leaves that to the other two girls, but she's got like the hardcore, fast kind of rap style. She's very passionate. Like we talked about, Americans are very passionate in, in what we do.
What is spicy?
It's possible, but with as well as it did, I'm not sure that we would need a live action of it. Just because normally with adaptations, the key to a good adaptation is that you take it and you kind of keep the heart of it. It's our concept of equivalence. But at the same time, you have to make it your own. And unless you're going to take, say, part of this movie and then either expand the world somehow or expand on different characters, like maybe go into the rest of the Saja boys, which is part of what people think the sequel will be about, because we still have two of the Saja boys that are left. It's got to have something more to it. Otherwise, it's the exact same thing, which is why a lot of Disney adaptation have failed, because it's just the same story. It was never made into its own. So our concept of equivalence for K-pop Demon Hunters, I feel like is kind of limited in that sense. That's just me.
I agree.
Sorry, the teacher voice in me just came out right there.
Nope. That's part of your skill set for this particular conversation, is being able to bring in that perspective.
Do you have a white paper on this?
No, trust me. I think the third time I watched this, I was like, I can write so many papers on this. It's going to be glorious. And how it's like contemporary culture mixed with, traditional Korean culture. And then I went into the music itself, which is becoming a phenomenon. Yeah, I had like 4 paper ideas ready to go.
Yeah, I don't think a live action is necessary, but we know people will watch it. Be curious for sure.
That is true. If they want to just focus on making the money.
Yeah, live action will always have like its own separate audience, as well as it did. I just imagine it playing up differently. I can't imagine it being like a shot by shot recreation. Doesn't add up to me. I almost imagine too that they'll probably try to grab like, so many directors used to do like music videos and commercials. I almost feel like they would grab someone like that and maybe like co-direct or co-produce with someone who can help them tackle an action movie with comedic elements. And plus, it's also Netflix budget too. I know they've been a little bit better about opening up their wallet, but like Red Notice, they went way over budget, and especially with the latest Russo Brothers movie that no one liked, also being super over budget. I don't see them doing the same thing with Demon Hunters. I would like to see people like in makeup and stuff. I think that would be cool instead of like fully CG demons. So,
or even getting that lost balance of CG and makeup would be delightful.
Man, like I don't understand this whole obsession with fully CG characters. I remember we were watching Red One. Is that what it was called? The Amazon Prime movie about Santa Claus
with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, that one. When I saw like just random short shots with fully CG elves, I was like, why? It was almost like a Men in Black moment where you're just like, hey, what's going on over there? And you see like chaos at their headquarters at another pole, I think. I don't understand. Like that was a super short shot. You only did it like 2 or 3 times. That was a lot of money. None of those characters looked rendered photoreal. They looked very cartoony a little bit because there weren't enough passes done to make them look real. Like, why did you guys do that? I get annoyed when I see waste like that. I'm like, just be smarter about how you spend your money. And then don't complain about how you guys went over budget after the fact.
Right.
And then it hurts us at the end as the artist working on the stuff. Anywho, that's a whole another tangent. And I think that's about everything, right? I don't think there's anything else we want to touch on. But yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters, still going to be climbing the charts probably even after this comes out. Definitely highly recommend. It's a good time. It's a good watch. Yeah, maybe we'll hop on and chat about something else that's very contemporary and present that we all had fun watching and would be down and excited to talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thanks, Sun, for coming through. Thanks, Alex, as always.
Mhm.
Appreciate Kim coming on, giving her insight and expertise on the film, the story, and all the literary elements. All right, I think that's about it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the next time we put something out. Hopefully, be more regularly. So keep an eye out. And until next time. All right.
Yep.
Lates.
Take care, everyone.